All right. Cholo Trucker. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, Pastor. Thank you for having me on. Just want to give a good shout out to you and to all your viewers.
Yeah, it's been good meeting you. I met you on Tony A show, and since then we've communicated, we've talked, we've talked on the phone and text, man, and it's been a great friendship, with you.
Yeah. For those that don't know, that's exactly when interaction. They're going to Tony A's to Rhodium Radio, and I was like, wow, I was a little starstruck. I'm like, oh man, look, it's David Pastor Rocha, and just for anybody who's watching, Pastor, you're one of the coolest guys to hang out with and talk to, and very easy to talk to. And yeah, you know what? I enjoyed your company, and I was like, man, this is a great guy right here.
Thank you, man. I can say the exact same thing. It's a trip, man, because the Holy Spirit gives discernment. And it was weird because from the first moment I met you face to face, man, I saw the Spirit of God in your eyes. And I don't know if you know what that means, but I don't know, I just sensed that a lot of times I can sense when somebody's going to be somebody that just passes through our life, and sometimes I can sense when people are meant to be a friend for life, and that's how I see you, to be honest with you.
And it's what's crazy, Pastor, is that this is all kind of new. A year and a half ago, this wasn't the person that I was, who I am today. This is all kind of new. For anybody who doesn't know, I started Cholo Trucker because I was struggling mentally. I was angry. I had good ways of hiding it, but every time I smiled, every time I laughed, I was actually really crying inside. They were all fake smiles. They were all fake, laughters. And it's the reason why I started the channel, to try to go back and look back at myself and judge myself, because I wanted to become a better person. And look, it worked. It worked. And I was like, well, that's it, mission accomplished. But thank God for the people that kept showing me love, and they're like, hey, continue the channel, continue the channel, continue the channel. And so I did. And because of it, I got to meet you, got to, do quite a few cool things, and more cool things that got to meet Paul from LA Times and so many other good people. And it's just, it's a blessing.
So, kind of the elephant in the room that, at least for some people, is the fact that we were both from opposite sides of California, and it's a trip for me, man, because, and I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. I don't know how it was on your end, because I know it's a little different down south, but up here, I was brainwashed to hate you, and I don't say that very flippantly. I say that with much humility, man, is that it's humbling for me what God can do in, like, feeling not just you, but even Paul, guys I met in Terminal Island. I met a lot of Southsiders in Terminal Island. Terminal Island is right there in the middle of Long Beach. And there was thank you, babe. There was, man, about 200 active Southsiders in the yard there. And I started preaching on the yard, and I made so many friends, man. I mean, I realized in conversating the same stories about our abuelitas, the same stories about, we couldn't wait to get out to have chorizo with eggs and papas, you know what I mean? And my best friend now is brother Johnny Alcala from San Jacinto. He's originally from Victorville. He was an active Southsider, gave his life to the Lord, and we are the best of friends now, man. And it's just a trip, I just want to talk about that. I don't know, what on your end, were you brainwashed this way, or what was it like on your side?
Yeah. So, down south, it's a little bit different, because there are no, north siders. And if there are north, I'm sure there's north siders, but they're not out there like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, gangs and stuff like that going at it with each other, all Southside gangs. But what was put in was to not like people from up north. Even though, you don't run into them on the streets, even though you don't know them, you just don't like them. And growing up, it was always the thought of like a bunch of lame farmers from up north, the whole
American me.
American, yeah, the whole American me thing, always looking at them like, you know what, they're so below us, they're that was kind of the mentality, at least for me. The whole brainwashing thing. And it's strange, and it's what I try to tell people is that when you're angry, when you have anger inside of you, it's very easy to get brainwashed.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be controlled. It's very easy to be pushed in a certain direction. Ever since I let go of my anger, which again wasn't that long ago, I'm not talking about 5, 10, 15 years ago. No, I'm talking about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, just about a year ago. I feel so free. I feel so, I'm not lying. I feel like I could start flying.
Amen.
So yeah, that whole brainwashing thing, that was my mentality towards up north, and then going up north and actually running into a couple of people up there. Yeah, it made me just kind of hate everybody up there or dislike them.
So how do you feel now, and how do you see it now? Just talking to me, I know you've met a lot of people, you've met many people from up north now within the last, few months. What's your perspective right now?
My perspective of everything now is, you know what, you gotta treat everybody as an individual. Treat them as however they come at you. um I got no issue, no problem with anybody, where they come from, what state, up north, down south, whatever it may be. Look, I've said this plenty of times. There's people down south that they rub you the wrong way because they're on a different track. They're
Yeah.
trying to do something different. So it just can't be the whole, orale, you know what, I'm over here, so this is all cool with my people. It doesn't work that way. So I got nothing but love for anybody and everybody who's gonna show some love back, love and respect back. And doesn't really matter where you're from. That's really, I've come to realize that's not the key. The key is who is the person as the individual.
It's a trip is just in, I used to love, well, I love history, but I remember the first time I learned that when Cortez came, he only had only so many boats, only so many men with him. There was no way he could have conquered the Aztec kingdom, the empire, if it wasn't him getting the other tribes to side with him. So for tribes to fight against each other has always been the way to defeat a people, and I see the same thing now. It's the same thing, if they can keep us separated. And when I say they, I mean whoever is, I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about whoever is in power, whoever is for instance, the prisons are meant to make money, not to reform people. It gives people jobs. And I remember being a young kid, and I remember cops coming over because we used to just teenage stuff, but we used to go at it with the across the town, and everybody was a northerner in Tracy when I grew up. Everybody, there wasn't north and south, but the cops would come and tell us what they were talking about us, and I'm sure they would go to that gang and say the same thing, and
Yeah.
but yeah, history has shown that this is how you divide and conquer.
Right. Yeah. Divide and conquer. And it's exactly what I was saying. It's exactly, when you're angry, you are very, anybody could come and influence you. People want to belong. At least when I was a kid, I knew that a lot of us, running around the streets wanted to belong. We wanted to belong to something, whatever it was. We wanted to say that, yeah, that's right, I'm a part of this or part of that. I'm from here, I'm from there. Wanted to belong. And what that does, it kind of tribalizes you. It kind
Yeah.
of puts you in this category where it's like, okay, I'm with this and everybody else is on the outside, and that's a very dangerous thing. And it's very easy to start manipulating people. And like you said, Pastor, and I'm glad you cleared that up. I'm glad you cleared it up that, oh, you're not talking about white people. You're just, because a lot of people kind of, they go down that road. I don't go down that road.
Me either.
I got no hatred for anybody because of race or whatever it may be. But you know what? A lot of it is tribalization and wanting to belong. And that's why it's such a strong, it's such a powerful thing for me. Family at home. What is going on at home? Family. That is key for me, Pastor.
Yeah. Well, when I think that don't get me wrong, public schools, I get it. They got to be there, they educate our kids or whatnot. But I think a lot of times we have the mentality of not educating our kids because we're like, oh, the school will do it, But like, for instance, myself, I remember my dad only went to third grade. After that, he worked in the fields his whole life. My dad, I still have my parents, I thank God, but my my dad was a field worker in Arizona, and that's where he met my mom. My mom would travel wherever work was, and she happened to, with my grandpa, would stop there every year to work the cotton, and that's how my parents met. But even my dad with a third grade education, he taught me about Cesar Chavez. He taught me about Emiliano Zapata. He taught me about Pancho Villa. He taught me about these people, and pretty much that's all it was, because there was nobody else to look up to. But my dad would say, we come from warriors, and he would instill that. The little he knew, the little education my dad knew, he instilled that. And I remember going to school one day, and I don't remember the exact scenario, but the teacher was asking who your heroes are. And I remember I said Pancho Villa. And the teacher said, that's not a hero, that's a bandit. And I remember going home very confused, because I'm like, Dad, why did my teacher say that Pancho Villa is a bandit? I thought he was for the people, and just to show you the conflict. But I thank God that my dad showed me that, because if he hadn't taught me that, for sure I wouldn't have learned it in school as an elementary, until later, maybe taking Chicano history or whatever. But man, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, you are 100% right on that. Look, I think parents have gotten a little bit lazy, no disrespect to anybody, but there's some parents that I see. Look, I got friends personally that I see, and I'm like, gosh, you know what, man? Not for nothing, but you're kind of a lazy parent. They want the credit because they go to work and they come home and then they say, that's it, my job is done. Well, no, it's not done. Your job is not done. That's you're providing, and tip my cap to you for providing. But raising is something different. Raising is the principles, the morals, the education, the time that you spend with your kids, and like your father did with you, Pastor.
Mhm.
And that's raising your kids. There's a lot of parents today where they believe they go to work, they come home, that's it, they check out. It's like, well, you know what, my kid went to school, so, and basically I did my part because I went to work, came home, and I paid the bills. I did my part, that's it, it's done. It's not done. It's not done. That's providing, that's part of it, and I'm glad people are doing that.
Yeah.
But going in there and actually spending time with your kids and educating them yourself, and giving them all that clecha of life, that's raising.
Yeah. I remember even because we grew up in a ranch out in Tracy. My dad was working for a rancher, and when you work for a rancher, they provide housing for you. And my dad still lives there. It's about maybe an acre and a half. We call it the ranch, and out there is about maybe 3 miles outside the city limits. So having a gun was a normal thing out there, because you never know. My dad would be off at work from the moment the sun went up to the sun went down. My dad was out in the tractors working. So I remember being about 5, maybe 6. And my dad said, you're old enough to learn how to use my gun. this is the reason why, not for gangs, not for anything, but to protect the home. And I think a lot of men, especially in the cities, don't get to have this opportunity, or much less don't even have a dad or a responsible dad. But I remember that talk where he said, this will take a life. You do not point this at anyone. This is what he said at a 5-year-old. And I understood it at 5. He says, you never point this at someone unless they come to hurt you or your mom when I'm at work. He goes, and if somebody comes to hurt your mom, you point this and do not hesitate to protect this family. And but then at the same time, the fact of never pointing it, the fact of safety, the fact of this is something that is not a toy. At 5 years old, I was able to comprehend that. And as I got older, he taught me how to shoot. So by the time I became a teenager, I was a good shot. I didn't do this whole, New Jack City, you know, but because of that, I thank God that for that reason, I didn't grow up and do dumb things. There was times in those moments where really it could have went really bad. Only by the grace of God am I not in prison for life, but it was always that lesson that my dad said, this thing is to be respected because it takes a life,
And you know what? There's a lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of us, that our first interaction with a gun was from a big homie.
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah.
And in reality, when you think about it, the big homie was a kid themselves. It was probably like a 19-year-old kid, passing a gun to a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Or 12-year-old saying like, "Orale, man." And at that time, at that age, when you're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, somebody who's 19 years old, you look at them like, man, they're a big homie, they're a big dog, like they know it all. Looking back at it now, Pastor, a 19-year-old is a kid, a 20-year-old is still a young kid, So, but that's who's really saying like, "Orale, here's the gun, let me give you, all the flecha." But it's really just another youngster.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because fathers are very, very important. And I think it's being lost. I don't just mean with raza, I just mean in society today. No disrespect to any women's movement or anything like that, but the whole thing of the male role model has been just kind of diminished and kind of pushed to the side with this whole thing of like, uplifting so much the woman, and everybody just kind of forgets the dad. Everybody kind of forgets the male role model that kids need, both daughters and sons.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for people to bring it out, because now I have 2 sons.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think that, when you guys have kids, you're not that important. No, Chales, you are important. You're very important.
Yeah.
You have a big role, a big responsibility to play in your kids' lives. So I think it's very important that we push that.
So yeah, it's I think that the role of a father, I think the reason the 14, 13-year-old is getting clecha from the 19-year-old is because the lack of men. The lack of men taking responsibility. And don't get me wrong, I've never been a perfect dad. And for years, it took me years to become the man that I am today, and I had no excuse because I have a very strong role model as a father, but these young homies, man, they don't have a dad. So all they have is the older homies that they have. And that's unfortunate because men are absent, men are put in prison, men are addicted to drugs at an early age, men are taught to womanize, that if you womanize, you're a real man. And then it doesn't help that the Hollywood agenda of emasculating, what's the word?
Demasculating.
Yeah, men, you know what I mean? To make men look dumb, to make men look lazy, to make men look stupid, to make men look like, look at sitcoms. If you really look at the role of fathers back in the 80s and 90s on sitcoms, other than the Cosby Show, and look what happened with that, that's a whole other thing. But if you really look at it, the dad plays a second role. And that is even in biblical principle. We are supposed to hold the family together as men, and the wife and the children will follow that man. So I mean, men have been target number one for the enemy, for Satan to attack, because if he can attack the man, or even erase the man out of the equation, everything else is gonna fall that much easier.
Yeah, definitely. Look, men and women, we need each other.
Yeah.
We both need each other. We balance each other out, and it just seems like in society, it's just all about the women. Again, it's all respect to the ladies and all, but yeah, the man has been pushed out, saying like, you're not that important. You're not that important, and it's all about the women and the ladies and the strong moms. Well, you know what? Strong dads are needed.
Yeah.
And we can show example after example after example. We could stay here all day, all night, Pastor, showing different examples on how much the Father is needed, with so many guys that are, unfortunately in the grave at a very young age, incarcerated, whether it's a short time, whether it's a long time, addicted to whatever vice it is that they have, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be. It's very, very important for the male role model to be there.
Yeah, I agree. Which makes me I want to talk about something else that me and you have. We have this in common, and I didn't realize it till my wife told me. We are both a mixed family, your marriage and mine. And I came into my marriage with children. My wife came in with children, and my understanding is you did the same. And I think this is something that is very common, where you get mixed marriages. And what struggles have you realized, or speed bumps in becoming a dad in a mixed marriage, or even a husband, And then I'll give my 2 cents, but I was wondering what yours was.
Yeah, so shout outs to my beautiful, crazy loca wife, who I love dearly.
You always call her that.
Yeah, so I've had a failed marriage. She's had 2 failed marriages. For everybody that's watching, just like you, Pastor, I don't have a perfect past. My life has been somewhat of a roller coaster, and yeah, bad decisions after bad decisions after bad decisions. And just like you, Pastor, it took a while for me to really get it together. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect today. I'm gonna continue to mess up and struggle, but it all comes with life. Having I had kids at a very young age.
Same here. My first, I was 17.
I think I was 19 years old when I had my first one. And you know what? It was a relationship, just kind of a roller coaster, just up and down, up and down, up and down. I wasn't in a good place, and ended up getting married, divorced, going through, so many struggles with it. And it is, I try to explain that, look, there is a good way to do this. I never try to push it out there that, oh, you know what, these things just happen. No, they don't just happen. You make them happen. I may have been young, but I could have made better decisions, and I didn't. So it's important that we put it out there, because I don't want my sons or anybody that's watching to think that, like, oh, you know what, getting married and divorced, that's just, it's just part of life. It could just happen. Well, you know what, if you actually settle down, take time, and really see what you're doing, you don't have to go through that. My wife today, I love her dearly. We're best friends. Yeah, she has 3 kids. I have 2. We came together, and it can be a little bit of a struggle. It's but I got to tell you, I have nothing to complain about. It's great.
How long have you been married?
We're gonna go. We've been together for, gosh, man, she's probably gonna kill me because I don't remember. We've been together for quite a few years. We've been married about 2 years now.
Oh, still newlyweds.
Yeah, we're still newlyweds. Yes.
Yeah, we got Sharon. She's gonna kill me. How long we been married? Since 17. Got married in October 2017.
Okay. And you know, for me,
And been together since 14.
okay. And you know, for me, it was crazy because I wanted to do it right. I know that, you know, nobody really sticks to this anymore, but I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I really want to do it right. My wife, she was raised by her aunt and her uncle, who have both passed away. May they rest in peace with God. And I actually went to her uncle, and without even talking to my wife,
Yeah.
I actually went to him and asked for his blessing. And that meant a lot to him. And he's up with the Lord today. And I just respected the heck out of that man. I really did. And I asked him for son. At the time, I think he was about 22 years old. I asked him for his blessing, and he gave
Yeah.
it to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna go and propose. My wife she didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We had not talked about marriage or anything at all. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. For me, I think something I had learned, and I don't even know where I learned it. I don't know if it was a sermon or a movie. I don't know where, but like when my wife is from Southern California originally, from San Fernando Valley, and I used to mess with her when I first met her because I was like, "Oh, don't tell me you're from Echo Parque," you know, because I used to joke with her all the time because of the movie, you know. But she's from San Fernando, grew up in that area. I think she was born in Pacoima, grew up in Sun Valley, right? Yeah. And so when she moved up here, she already had two adult children, and she had two that were still growing. Abraham was the one you met not too long ago that was with me, and I have five children. So one thing I learned, and maybe you can reiterate in your opinion, was that I didn't want to come in and discipline until he knew that I loved him first. Because when you discipline without love, that's not right, man. Because you can't be, I'm the man of the house, you're gonna listen to me. No, the way for him to receive that discipline, or not just discipline, but just authority, because you are the man of the house, is for them to know that they're loved also. So, because I've never stepped into a role being a stepdad. I've always just raised the kids that are my biological kids. So it was a new thing for me, you know, to be with somebody that had kids, you know, and but for the most part, for them being boys, honestly, they didn't bump heads with me, because a lot of times boys, they don't want no other man around their mom, you know. And I don't know, how about on your side, how did that work out?
Yeah. So, you know, growing up as a kid, I grew up without my dad. You know, he
Yeah.
took off when I was about 6, 7 years old. So, I remember my mom was in this long-term relationship with this other guy. And you know, just like you said, Pastor, he came in and he wasn't that much of a bad guy. He's passed away as well. And he wasn't that much of a bad guy, but you know, he did come you know, I'm the man of the house, which, you know, rightfully so, like you said, right? You are the man of the house. My brother rebelled big time against him. I was kind of on the fence. And so, you know, we always got to think back to that and really say, hey, how would you take it? You know, so now as a grown up, you're right. You just can't come in and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm here. This is my, you know, I got the throne. So
Yeah.
do what I say. You know, that's not gonna work. And it's a very touchy issue because it's their mom.
Yeah.
You know, it's their mom. We all look at our jefitas like, hey man, you know, you don't mess with my mom. It's a little bit different when it's your dad. You know,
Yeah.
when dad is dating or when dad has, you know, a new girl, whatever, it's not quite the same. But
Yeah.
when it's your mom, it's whoa, you know what? You're
Yeah.
hey man, there's boundaries, man. I don't like where this is going. So you really gotta tread carefully. I was I think at first they were kind of like, here comes a guy that she's bringing around. She had told me she was in another relationship before me, and they're like, oh, you know what, man, now she's dating another guy, which really that's how it all starts off, right? You just
Yeah.
start dating, and you're just a guy that she's dating. So I was really careful. I try to be real careful not to step where I shouldn't be stepping.
Yeah.
But overall, it's all worked out for the best, and I can't complain, Pastor. I'm in a great position.
Um, I think that the boys that you gotta understand, my wife, and this is her story, not mine, but just in the summary, man, she was sexually abused by her own biological father. And later on, Jose, who is my who she considers her dad now, her
Mm.
stepdad is he's the one we go, him and her mom, we go visit them often, and she considers him her real dad because of the love embrace he's done. So man, the sexual molestation as a child with her led into a lot of confusion in a young girl's mind, a lot of abuse, and finding relationships with people that would abuse her. So her kids grew up seeing her beat up, abused, yelled at. I mean, you name it, you know. So they were guarded with me. You know, that's why it's a huge it was a huge deal for me to, and it still is, to whatever I preach on the pulpit, for me to be that at home. Because the last things these boys needed was to see a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, for me to be disrespectful to her, but then be a pastor, you know. That was very key. And I think that's what won them over, man, is because they saw me respect their mom, they saw me love her, and they saw me take care of her, you know. And there was a lot of hurdles. There was a lot of hurdles between me and her because you gotta understand, her having been so abused, you know, and it's hard for me to hear some of the things that she's went through to talk about it. And I just kind of I just kind of get straight faced because I get mad, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, man, I wish I was around. You know, if I
Mm.
was around then, anyways, you know. But um that for me has been the biggest hurdle, is to break through and to show her that I'm not like these other men, thank God, because of Christ. And to show the boys too that, hey, I'm gonna give you a solid home, a solid foundation, and a place of a house of peace. This world is so insane that at least we can come home and have peace.
Yeah, and you know what, Pastor, and I've shared this with you guys. I was sexually molested when I was a kid. I've told my story on LA Times, and yeah, no, look, it does do some damage.
Yeah.
It does leave some scars. For one reason or another, I don't know why, but it was probably like in my uh late 30s, somewhere around 37-ish, where it really started getting to me. I don't know why that was, but it really started getting to me. It really started messing with me mentally.
How old are you now?
Um, I'm 39. I'm about to be 40.
So this is the same time you're saying all this anger. You were an angry person 2 years ago.
Right. Yes. Yes. And all my laughs were really cries. All my smiles were really frowns. Um, all my happiness was really sadness.
Yeah.
Um, and it was tough. I had not spoken about it.
Wow.
I didn't talk about it at all. Until I actually shared it on LA Times. And
Really?
yeah, and shout outs to them. Shout outs to Big Joe and Paul. Those are my guys right there.
Those are my brothers, man.
Yeah, yeah, great people. So, until I talked about it with them, and I talked about it with my wife, I talked about it with my oldest son, and now I thought it was important to bring that out and talk about it.
Yeah.
And because it does, you know, how your wife went through that, I can go ahead and sign off that it does mess with you. It
Yeah.
does, you know, leave some scars, and you do make bad decisions.
Yeah.
But we can't we shouldn't stay, you know, as victims in life.
Yeah.
Um maybe we were a victim of it at that time, at that moment. Well, you know, we were a victim of it at that time, at that moment, but staying as a victim, well, that's up to us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to be victims. You know, we can overcome that.
Yeah.
And maybe it takes a little bit more strength to do so. But I'm telling you guys, I'm telling everybody, because this is not really talked about. You know, people find this kind of shameful, especially when it comes to guys, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to males. Most males don't want to talk about it. Not to say that it's easy for the females to talk about it. I'm sure it's tough for them. But when it's males, and when you're abused by another male, that's you know, not too many males want to talk about it. And I see a couple of other guys, and I see the type of hurt and anger that they have.
Yeah. One of
And
my,
I look at them, and I wonder, Pastor, I do wonder, like, did they suffer through that?
oh,
Did they go through that? But
oh,
but you know, it's like I said, it's very hard for a male to come out and saying like, hey, this happened to me by other males,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know,
I have a very
so
close friend too that actually he has shared it. He shared it publicly. ALG was one of the rappers in Darkroom Familia. He somebody has been very close to me, and he shared that, and not only that, but had an absentee father, so he had a lot of struggles as an adult, you know, probably dealing with that, and then on top of that, not even knowing how to be a father, how to be, you know, man, it's so many men are hit with so many obstacles that it's almost like before they even start, they're set up for failure.
yeah, it's like I I knew the father that I wanted to be, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, like so many, we know what's right, what's wrong, and how many of us just, even knowing that, just choose to do the wrong thing for whatever it may be, you know, temptation, or to satisfy the flesh for just that moment, right? And so I knew the father that I wanted to be. I knew I wasn't being that father. I knew, like, man, this is who I want to be. This is the kind of dad I want to be, but I'm over here being this kind of dad.
Yeah.
And you know, there were times. I mean, it's hard. It's a struggle, and there were times where, you know, my sons did lose respect for me,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. And I gotta say, it's a horrible feeling. It is. It's a
Yeah.
horrible feeling.
Yeah. Same.
And
Yeah.
all I could say is I'm happy today, and I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I felt so many times as a dad myself. I got sentenced to 8 years. FBI came and took me back in 2004. My youngest son was 2. My youngest daughter, I just celebrated her first birthday, and a week later, FBI takes me away, and I wasn't able to be out again until 6 years later. You know, now she's 7 years old, and at that time, you know what I mean. Now she just turned 18, but man, a lot of times, you know, and I have been spending all these years trying to rebuild. And I thank God I have a really great relationship with all of my kids. They're all adults now. They're all from 18 and on. And man, it's a blessing. The fact that even through my failures, they still love me. They see me for who I am today, you know, and I try to live my life in a way that will make them proud to say, man, that's my dad. That's my dad, instead of being embarrassed, you know. And the son you met recently, Abraham, my stepson, man, I remember there's a few times, man, you got to understand, he was raised by a single mom, so she was doing the best she could. He didn't have a man, you know, and there's little characteristics I saw when he was 12, 13, 14 of the way he would react in anger, this and that. And there's things I've had to teach him. I'm like, hey, we don't do that as a man. As a man, we don't, uh, just certain ways of getting mad, because I noticed he would get mad the way my wife would get mad. And I'm like, no, no, no. But I had to realize he he didn't have nobody to show him. You know, I remember the first time I taught him to change oil. He had no idea. He had no idea what oil pan was. He had the simplest things, you know, and to be able to now he's works hard, man. He has a beautiful car. He has a newer car than I do right now. And he's only, how old is he? 19? 19 years old, has a newer car than me, you know, and to show the fact that I'm the one that taught him how to change his oil. I'm the one that taught him how to check things and do this, and things that my dad would teach me. I taught him how to do a tune-up, and I would teach him how to get these. Sometimes it's hard to get the spark plug out and things like that, little tricks that my dad taught me, you know, and I realized this is what it's about right here, this moment. These are the reason that young men need their fathers, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, a woman can teach them how to change all that stuff too, you know, but man, the woman shouldn't have to play two roles. You know, it's hard enough to play one.
Oh man, just a funny little story, just on to piggyback what you're saying right there, Pastor. So I was, you know, as people know, I'm a truck driver. I was making a delivery, and we had to break down this pallet of doors, right? Because there was an issue with paperwork. Was it the right door? What have you? And this guy that was working in the receiving area, he was in his early 20s. I don't know, if I had to guess, probably about 22, maybe 23 years old. And I said, hey, man, can you give me a Phillips screwdriver? He said, which one's that one?
Wow.
I was like, this is progress in society. This is the way we want to go? Is this really a good thing?
Yeah.
We're probably the most simplest tool in the toolbox, a Phillips screwdriver, that a 23-year-old youngster has no idea what's a Phillips screwdriver.
Yeah.
You know, that's not progress. That's not, you know, in my opinion, that's not moving forward. I don't know why society keeps pushing this of you know, just taking this stuff away from the man. Like, you know, it's so cool to not know how to do these things for males. I know it's not cool.
You know, my first thought is, oh, what a dummy. But second is, did he not have a father to teach him?
Exactly where I was leading up to. That's why that time that you spend with your stepson, with Abraham, that's why those things are so key and so important, Pastor. And that's why it's so important for dads to be around him and do these kind of things with their son and even daughters. You know what? I mean, there's so many girls that don't know how to find a good man because they didn't have a good man in their life growing up.
Yeah, yeah. My daughters, I taught them. I always took them to nice restaurants on purpose because Oh no, but nowadays mothers are too busy being out. Yeah, my wife said, well, she's chiming in now. She goes, now mothers are too busy out there getting their nails done, doing this and that, and their kids are lacking.
Well, you know what's tragedy, and again, you know, I'm not speaking badly about single mothers. I'm not. Much respect. They have a tough job to do.
Yeah.
But
my wife was a single mother for many years. So
yeah, my mother was a single mother for a long time, and what's the sad thing about it? And this has been said for so long, but nobody really opens it up and dissects it. And that is, the only ones that suffer are the kids.
Yeah.
And that's been said for so long, but nobody really opens up and really looks at it and you know, dissects what's really going on. And what's really going on is that you take the male role model out of the way. Now you got a single mother who's angry at him for whatever reason. And this is who's raising the kid. And now she's got, you know, to work hard. You know, she obviously wants a man, you know, whether she's dating or not. But now, you know, you got the kids that are just kind of in between this, what's going on, and just hearing nothing but bad news about their dad from their mom. You know, she's scarred, she's hurt, she really has nothing good to say about him. And it, you know, all this just passes down to the kids.
Yeah.
And like how you were saying, Pastor, how he was, how you know, your stepson was reacting like your wife is, you know, that's why we got so many guys that are just so quick to just get in fist fights.
Yeah.
You know, vatos like to think that, orale, man, we're gonna get down all the time. That makes us men. Nah, chale, that means you can't control your emotions. That's what it means. It doesn't mean, it doesn't make you a man. You
Yeah.
know, but we're like that. We're brought up that way because we didn't have, you know, good male role models of like, hey, get your feelings in check. What are you
Yeah.
doing? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I meant with him, you know, and now he sees how I handle things, and to be the best example I can be, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone is so quick to want to throw, you know, chingazos and orale, that makes me a man. No, 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 no. You know what? We hash things out. We talk things over. We're not that sensitive. That's what that's how men conduct themselves. But so many don't know that because they didn't have that male role model. So
Yeah.
many get emotional. Again, I'm not disrespecting my ladies. Nothing but love to my ladies. Okay, but ladies are, you know, very emotional, and when you have, you know, when you don't have the male role model to teach their sons like, hey, check your feelings, homie, that's not how men get down. Well, then real quick it's like, orale, we're gonna fight, and now I'm
Yeah.
gonna fight you, and now we're gonna fight, and now a bunch of fights, and then we put it into our heads like, oh, this is making us a man. No, it's not making you a man. Okay, it just means that you have no control over your emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last topic I wanted to talk about, I don't know how long we've been talking already. I don't want to make it too long because, brother, I could talk with you for a long time. Is I noticed you wearing a cross.
Oh yeah.
I noticed you're wearing a cross. So my question is, this is a Christian channel.
Mm.
I pastor a church. I got saved in 2004. I heard you did a recap on the Duke of Earl Part 2 play. So I know you know about the Lord. I just don't know how much you know about him, or if you are a practicing Christian. I have no idea. So I mean, where are you? Is God important in your life? And if he is, where are you in the stage of that walk? You don't talk about it
Um,
on your channel, so I'm asking you exclusively here.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm game on. Okay. So I have always like a lot of, you know, Chicano families, I have always believed in God. There was not a one time where I didn't believe in God. Now, did I follow? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've been trying to work on that for many years, many years. And I'm telling everybody, once I let go of my anger, which, you know, we're not talking about that long ago, every day, every day I begin closer with the Lord. Every day. Okay. Can I really sit here and say, man, I am just, you know, completely, look, I'm saved. I did give my life to God, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot of construction to do. And I just read in my daily devotional that we are always under construction. For as long as we're alive, we are under construction. So I'm somewhere, you know, in the beginning stages of that,
Yeah.
and every day I'm growing closer with God, closer with the Lord.
So maybe
Um,
that's why we're friends right now.
could be, Pastor. And you know, I do go to church. I actually go to church on Saturdays, on Sabbath,
Yeah.
um, Saturday mornings, and
So
shout out
do you regularly? Is this a regular thing?
yeah, every Saturday.
Nice.
Every Saturday. I've been doing it for many years, but it feels like in the last year and a half, it's actually meaning more and more and more every time.
Man.
So, you know, it can be a long process. It could be a very struggling process. Shout outs to my brother who same thing. He always believed in the Lord, and he was an alcoholic. He drank himself silly every single day. And you know, he's a lot closer with God today, and I could probably say that he's 4 years sober.
Amen. Amen. That's a huge accomplishment, you know. Um, when did you know about my music career and stuff before?
I did.
You did.
Yeah, I did. I knew about Sir Dino and you know, Dark Room Familia. I was actually made aware of it. I'm not gonna lie. Down here, that music, to at least to the best of my knowledge, it didn't move around down here that much.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, that music didn't really make its way that much around down here. I'm sure there were people that knew about it. But then, you know, I remember, to tell you the truth, the first time that I caught a glimpse of you, I came across one of your movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. There's two movies that I watched of yours. I don't remember the name of them. One where you die at the end because your brother's still messing around on the streets.
Oh yeah.
And then
Oh,
another
no, probably
one.
later.
Yeah, I think that was it. And then another one where your wife in the movie is Sad Girl from Mi Vida Loca.
That's Blood and
she-
Tears. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I'm like, orale, all right, man. And you know, I started hearing like, orale, yeah, man, he's a northerner and da da da. So I looked into it a little bit more. This is already quite a few years back already.
So when,
now
so when did
I
you
was
find
out
out?
of it.
When did you find out that I was a pastor now?
I think I found out through Paul. It wasn't too long ago.
So was it
It-
the Tony A show or nothing?
No, I knew before that. I knew before that.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was through Paul. He told me that, and you know, there was one of the first videos I did with LA Times. They did a Chicano rap a poll to see, you know, who was really mixing it up way back in the day, and your name came up. And then, so I think it was off camera. I'm like, hey, so who is that? And then when they told me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy, the movies that I seen and everything. And yeah, it just went from there.
Okay. The reason I ask is, you know, I always wonder how people see the contrast of my old life compared to my new. I do know that there is no coincidences in the things of God, brother. And I call you brother because in Christ we're brothers, you know, in Christ. And I was very encouraged when I see you just wearing a cross, because a lot of people right now in this day and age, that's you know, like, oh, you don't show the cross, don't talk about Jesus, don't do anything. It's what's the word, where it's just not look greatly right now, you know. So that's a bold statement, and so that's what made me ask. And whatever stage you are in your spiritual life, you know what I mean, I know there's no coincidence, and I know that there's things that maybe I can help bring to the table, because if God can do it with me, he could do it with anybody. I was a stubborn of the stubborn, you know. And there's so much more that just hearing you talk and hearing you say, like, as far as being in construction and things like that, because the Bible does say that there's a renewing of the mind. When we give our life to the Lord, our spirit wakes up like that, but our mind has to catch up where our spirit is at now. And that takes a lifetime sometimes. So there's the renewing of the mind, you know. And that's why God brings powerful men and women alongside us to show us. In the Bible, there was this man reading the scriptures, and the Lord told the man of God to go over there to talk to him. So he goes to him, and it was an Ethiopian man. He goes, what are you reading? And he goes, oh, I'm reading the book of Isaiah. He goes, but I don't understand it unless somebody comes and explains it to me. And so that man of God sat in a chariot with him and explained what he was reading, you know. And I think that throughout our life, God has done it with me and brought men alongside me to explain to me. Is sometimes I'm that man that the Lord brings to explain more, you know, because I see, brother, there's something I'm not lying. I'm not just saying this to you. There is something in you that God wants to use you in a big way, that this is just the beginning, that you have no idea. and the Lord has something beautiful in place for you, brother. And it's bigger than Cholo Trucker. It's bigger than YouTube. It's bigger than anything you ever thought. And there's only a few men that the Lord has shown that to me. I'll tell you right now, exactly as of now, you yourself. Well, I'm not going to just say everybody because I don't want to leave people out, but I'll say one other person is Tony A. Tony A knows a lot about the Bible, man. And it got to the point so much that my wife and I drove 6 hours to share with him what the Lord was sharing with us about him. And we went, broke bread with him. His wife made an awesome dinner. And I said, man, I drove 6 hours because the Lord wanted me to share with you that God is going to use you, wants to use you, but you have to be willing. And it was a deeper conversation than that. But man, there's something when I see you, when I hear you, there's something there, brother. I just want you to know that.
Look, I appreciate it so much, Pastor. I mean, I just hearing that from you, it's it's a really good feeling. It hits the heart, and I got nothing but love and respect for you, your family, your wife, and everybody. And no, thank you. I highly appreciate it, Pastor. I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Every time I interview someone, they have a question for me. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I have many questions, but I was wondering of this. How is it for you for today? You know, the man who you are today. How is it for you for everybody and anybody that can go back and look at Sir Dino? Because they can. It's with technology today. I could just go ahead and look at Sir Dino and man, hear the songs and hear, see who you were. How is that for you, knowing that, what, that's not who I am anymore, or what, I'm a pastor today. How is it for you, Pastor?
I have learned to embrace it. When I first got out of prison, you got to understand, rap is 1 minute you're in, next minute they move on to the next rapper. So being in prison for 6 years, I literally, honestly thought everyone forgot who Sir Dino was. And when I got out, I wanted nothing to do with Sir Dino name. I didn't want to talk about prison. I didn't want to talk about my testimony. I just wanted to serve God and start my life over and just live a godly life. And it took me about 2 years. The one that convinced me was actually Pastor Ed Morales, the one that did Duke of Earl. He found out I was saved, knew I was Sir Dino, knew about my past, knew about the whole GUN CD, and all of a sudden this great transformation. So he called me to have a meeting in his office in San Jose at the Victory Outreach. And I sat with him and he goes, you got to share your testimony here at the church. I said, I don't want to. I want nothing to do with that. I hated the fact that YouTube had my videos, had my songs. I hated it. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I wanted to forget about it and close that chapter. And Pastor Ed, I didn't realize it was his last months of life. He embraced me greatly. And he says, David, he goes, I did all these movies. I did Duke of Earl, I did Duke of Earl 2 play. He did other things too. He goes, you're gonna take on that torch, whether you realize it right now or not. And it's crazy now thinking it was his last few months of his life. And he says, you will share your testimony. He goes, and I'm telling you why. He goes, God did not bring you through all of that so you can stuff it away. He goes, God is not going to allow you to give that to the enemy. He goes, God is going to take your stories and your music and he's going to take it back and use it for his purpose. And I went home and thought of it. Finally, I agreed to share my testimony at the Victory Outreach in San Jose. 1,000 people showed up. There's 850 chairs. So there was standing room only. At the end, he called for people that wanted to receive Christ. About 225 people went up to receive Christ that day. And ever since then, I have slowly embraced who I used to be. So the more my songs are out there from the past, the more all that stuff is, even the norteño music and all this stuff, the more that is out there and pushed, the bigger the contrast people can see of who I am now. So matter of fact, the greater the enemy wants to raise that old stuff up, is the greater God's going to use it for his glory. That makes sense? Because now they can see the contrast. They can see the man speaking right now. And right now they can stop pause and go look at Sir Dino, and that will show them what God can do, because God is no respecter of men. And he raises he raises leaders out of those that are rejected, those that are hated, those that are down and out, and he will transform you into something beautiful, And so I don't have any issues with any of my old stuff. Matter of fact, I embrace it because it shows what God can do. It's a living testimony.
Amen. Okay. I always wondered that because, like I said, with technology today, it's out there. It's out there. Anybody and everybody can do it and just go check it out, bump it in their car, bump it in their house, whatever it may be. So I was just wondering how you felt about that.
Yeah. I don't put it out there. I don't do that. I've had people say, what kind of pastor are you if you still put your music out there? And I'm like, I can't control other people's channels. Other people have said, oh, you're a pastor, but you're still getting rich off of your music. Matter of fact, when I was still in county fighting my case, I gave up my rights to all the darkroom music, everything, because it was 3 owners. It was Jose Quiros, Ed Quiros, and myself. And I gave up my rights long time ago. I got arrested in 04. I gave up my rights in 05. So I don't make money from my music. I don't put my old music up. If I show a clip, it's to show my testimony, but yeah, man, I just think that God uses that stuff. God uses that stuff. It's funny because now if you type Sir Dino, my sermons will pop up, mixed along with the old music. So I'm just like, man, it is what it is, and God's going to use it,
There you go. Yeah. Amen. All right. That was a very satisfying answer. Very satisfying answer.
I even get called Pastor Dino sometimes. That's all right. That's all right. You know what I mean? I had somebody, we do a daily devotional, my wife and I, Monday through Friday, and today's devotional, somebody wrote, I don't believe in God until somebody can explain to me where God came from. And I'm like, well, I'm just thankful you're on this channel. You know what I mean? And it's like, the fact that they're in the channel is a seed. It's a seed being, it's the fact that he commented means there's something intriguing him about it. And all I can do is plant, somebody else waters, and God gives the growth.
And what you said right there, seeds, there's a lot of seeds in life. Let's all be careful on what seeds we're planting inside of us.
That's good.
Because they're going to grow. And what kind of fruit is it going to bear? Is it going to bear, fruit that's going to really keep us healthy? Or is it going to, bear some rotten fruit? And for so long, for so many of us, we've implanted, a bunch of bad seeds.
You're already preaching.
I'll stop.
You're already preaching, man. I'm telling you, it's already in you.
Oh man, you're killing me over here, Pastor.
Here. Let me say this as we're wrapping this up, and I want you to say some ending things. Those of you that don't know who Cholo Trucker is, or you've learned who he is just watching this, please subscribe to his channel, because these kinds of insights, these kinds of deep issues is what he talks about. He talks about whether it's political stuff, police brutality, just things that are happening in society. And he has a very good view and round, to me, a 360 view, because you see all the way around. Good commentary, man, that you do. Very intellectual. A lot of times, so many YouTube channels are really dumbed down, and I want to tell people that to subscribe to your channel, and they're going to hear good things that are going to make them think. That's how I see your channel, man. You're a smart man.
Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate all your viewers, anybody and everybody who's watching this. All I could really say is, Pastor David Rocha, that's the man right there. That's the man. That's my guy. When I met you, Pastor, I didn't really know what to expect. And, I was talking with Paul the other day, and I said it right there on the video. I'm like, man, he's just the coolest guy to hang out with. You hang out with the guy, and sometimes you you're a little bit, you back off a little bit when you're like, you know what, this guy from YouTube or television or music or whatever, they're probably not what I thought they were gonna be.
Yeah.
But Pastor, you're all that and a bag of chips. If you remember that old saying, all that and a bag of
Yeah.
chips.
So any last thing? That's it? Or
No, you know what? Just thank you for having me on, Pastor. Thank you to all your viewers. The church, the House of Rest. You guys got a great pastor, and I'm very, very lucky and blessed to know you now, on a personal level.
likewise.
And you know what? We're definitely gonna make our way up there, Pastor. So make a little bit of room. Myself, my beautiful, crazy local wife, we're gonna head up there. We're definitely gonna make it happen. So and anybody from church that wants to hang out or anything, we're completely open to that. But shout outs to you, Pastor. Shout outs to all your viewers, and nothing but love and respect. God bless to everybody.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you, whenever you come, if there's a Sunday morning open, you already know you're invited to service. So,
You know what? I'm really gonna try and make that happen. I really am.
all right, let me end this video. Hold on. All right, but guys, bye.